Grandma Nan's story time, blowing in little bubbles, and I'm going to tell you all about how important blowing bubbles are to help you feel calm. I am so glad you're here to join us. Today we're reading a book about nobody hugs a cactus. I wonder if you guys have hugged a cactus. I haven't. And this is by Goodrich. Hank lived in a pot. The pot sat in a window. The window looked out at the empty desert. It was hot, dry, peaceful, and quiet, just the way Hank liked it. So he lives in the desert. But every now and then somebody would interrupt Hank's peace and quiet. "Hi, Hank," Rosie the tumbleweed would call. "Isn't it a beautiful day?" Hank ignored her. He just wanted to be left alone. Look at his face, it's kind of grumpy. How many of you have had a grumpy day? I sure have had one. "Okay, so long," said Rosie cheerfully, and she tumbled away. And Hank was happy again. But just as he was beginning to relax, "Hello!" shouted Tortoise. Tortoise is a really old turtle. "Private property," yelled Hank. "Keep out." The tortoise was so frightened, he said he went into his shell. Sometimes does somebody frighten you by yelling? Hank was still yelling at the tortoise when a jackrabbit dashed by. "Hi, Prickles," she shouted. "My name is Prickles," Hank yelled back, "and stay out of my yard." Oh, he looks really angry. "Tumbleweed, Tortoise, and Jackrabbit, what's next?" said Hank. A coyote came walking by. "No dogs allowed," yelled. "I'm not a dog," said the coyote, "and as you are as prickly on this inside, you are on the outside." So the coyote told Hank that he was prickly inside and out. I wonder if sometimes you feel prickly inside and out. Oh boy, before Hank could yell back at the coyote and the cowboy strolled past. "Keep off the grass," shouted Hank. "What grass?" said the cowboy. "Seems to me somebody needs a hug." Too bad no one hugs a cactus. Oh, wonder how that made Hank feel. "Hi," said a lizard. "Who invited you?" said Hank. "And just in case you're wondering, I don't want a hug." "That's good," said Lizard, "because I don't want to give you one." Then he skittered away. I'm kind of thinking Hank really does want a hug, just like all of us. An owl landed on the roof. "If you're looking for a hug," said Hank, "well, I guess I could give you one." Oh, I think Hank is getting tender. He wants to hug somebody. "Who, me?" said the owl. "You must be joking." And for the first time, Hank began to feel a little lonely. So sometimes when we're prickly like a cactus and we don't treat people nice, we can feel lonely. But if we decide to start having a loving attitude, then people are going to want to hug us. So let's find out what happens with Hank. The next morning, Hank was feeling more sad on the inside than prickly. Maybe a hug wouldn't be so bad after all. The wind began to pick up, and an old cut blew by and stuck to Hank's face. His arms were too short to get it off. "Great," said Hank. After a while, Rosie came bouncing by. "I'll get it off, Hank," she shouted, and she jumped up to knock the cut off of Hank's fat face, and then she tumbled away. I think that made Hank feel special that Rosie took good care of him. Hank didn't have time to thank Rosie. He felt bad about all the times he had been so rude to her. So he came up with a plan. Oh, I wonder what a plan is. Hank decided to grow the best flower he could, and then he gave it to Rosie as a thank you. It took days, but at last it was ready. He couldn't wait for Rosie to pass by again. So Hank became sweet and loving, and he thought of something special. Maybe you can think of something special you can do to somebody that needs a hug or love. When at last she finally did come bouncing back, Hank held out the flower. "Look, Rosie," he said, "I grew it just for you." How do you think that made her feel? And Hank feel? Pretty special. Rosie was so surprised. She jumped up and gave Hank a great big hug. It felt so nice. Hank didn't want to let go. And as things turned out, Rosie and Hank became stuck together. And look how happy they feel. But they didn't care. After all, it's better to be stuck in a hug than stuck alone. So this book is so special, and I want to tell you, when you feel prickly and angry, just because things are bad, or you're having a hard time at school, or someone's died in your life, a few things I'm going to teach you. And one is, this really helps your heart inside, and this is blowing bubbles. Oh, and watching the bubbles, how beautiful. It just makes me so happy. So this is one thing that you can do to really help your prickly heart. And maybe you can show someone in your family, if they're having a hard time, show them about blowing bubbles. So I am so thankful that you came today, and I hope that you can love somebody and give someone a hug. And you know what? I have a saying. It's called, "Give me a hug, love bug." So that's your new saying today. Give me a hug, love bug. And we'll see you in a couple of weeks. I love you, and you matter. Toodles!